to another episode of Teach Gen Tech with Laura.
Hello,
And
hello, everyone.
Laura is one of our first series that we've been doing of she's been teaching me Python. And I haven't really been coding in the last 2 weeks. Like I think I had 2 other episodes the week you and I talked, and then last week was conference week. So I'm like, I have to get into this world now. I'm like,
Sure.
readjust. Time to readjust.
Mm-hmm.
But
Been there.
I'm excited that we are back and somewhat back to normal. I feel like everybody knows, but I am horrible at social media. So I'm posting "We're live now" on Twitter right now because I forgot to auto schedule things.
I did a minute ago too and tagged you, so I think
Sweet.
we're not totally silent.
Yes. Well, hopefully our friends still show up today, but I totally get it if they don't. And we don't do this just for them. We do this for the learning, and
It's
people
true.
can always watch it post,
Mm-hmm.
which is really nice being able to do that because that's what I had to do. Have you ever rewatched one of the videos that we've done?
That we've done.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've rewatched parts to make sure that I didn't say anything too stupid. You know how it is. You know how it is.
I do. I do. All right.
But I watch other people's streams after the fact all the time. I almost do it like co-working,
Oh,
where
yeah,
like
yeah.
they'll be working on something and I'll be like sort of half listening and like half doing what I'm doing, and then they'll say something
Yeah.
that's like particularly relevant and whatever, and I'll be like, okay, now I'm just going to watch you for like 15 minutes or whatever, and then, you know,
I get that. I get
it's
that.
like
And
study hall.
yes. Oh, that's such a good way of saying it. And hello, Ben. Hello,
Hey Ben.
hello. I upgraded my mic since last time, so hopefully this sounds better. Wow, I can't talk. That's the mic's not going to fix that at all. That's all me. Um, and yay, I'm glad to hear it. It's a blue Yeti, but it's kind of like an old school one. But I'm really excited because the way I have my setup, it's not really in the shot. I've never been more excited.
Nice.
I hate when
Yeah.
the mic is in my shot. I don't know why. It's kind of,
Mhm.
I feel like
Yeah,
it's
I
a
have
little
that
silly, but
with this one. It's a little bit in the shot, but I could get it, like I could lower it, but then it wouldn't sound quite as good, or I could change my
yeah.
camera angle, but I really like the pictures over my head, and so I don't.
I like your camera angle because I always compliment you for your background. And what up, homie? Or should I
Hey,
say
Hui.
Ben and Ben? Haha.
Oh,
uh,
really?
yeah, but thank you for commenting the upgrade. My boss over at Gravity actually was like,
Oh, I can't hear you now. Did something happen on my end or yours? Actually, it looks like you're muted.
can you hear me now?
Yes, and the mute symbol is gone, so
Is it the same quality?
I'm
Maybe.
not very good at that.
It just said that my mic went offline, and I'm like, I didn't even do anything.
Oh.
But I wonder if it
You
did
know
it
what?
because
It's its first day at work.
it is. It is. And for all those who do conference life, I feel like you probably really, really understand coming back and having to readjust.
Mhm.
It's not always the easiest. Yay. And what up, Yere? How's it going? Yere was episode number 1, which was like 3 months ago, which is mind blowing to me. Can't
Mhm.
believe it's been that long. I've been slowly, well, totally procrastinating on talking, but I've been working on trying to clear my screen so I can actually share it. How to move
Oh.
everything to the other
Mhm.
screen.
It's a thing.
It is a thing. It is a thing. Anthony would always yell at me about that too. So I'm really glad I have learned my lesson. But Yes, we have a very, very blank screen. Yes, Yere, it has been 3 months, which is so crazy to me. I'm on Visual Code Studio. Yes, you can subscribe now. Ben and Homie really helped me out, like figuring that out. And Homie was my first subscriber. See if I can talk. Hey, we still have the document open.
Yay!
Because I honestly haven't done anything since then. Which is sad but true. Although I don't know what y'all think of like on going to conferences, but I loved meeting so many new people. It was fun. And what up, Ace? Welcome. This is episode number 4?
I think so.
I think so. And you are more than welcome to check our older episodes on YouTube. We do have a playlist. I feel like I should just call this the Laura playlist, but it's technically called the Python playlist.
It's a little bit more of an informative name.
But come on, they both work.
We could do like Python with Laura, and then we've got like both of the keywords.
Oh, that would work. But
that was totally self-serving.
I dig it. And Ace, still hang out and ask your questions. Like, I'm not saying go back. You have to watch those. No,
we're just barely getting started.
I have to go back and figure out half of it as well. And also, thank you, Yere, for being a subscriber. Yay! Thank you. But what we're getting back into, and Laura gave me the option last time, is do I want to, I got to get this over here too. Do I want to do the quiz then, or do I want to do the quiz when we come back? Past me was very, very wanting to do it now. Future me, present me, we're going to see, because I went back to, here is also Ace. This is what we've been using, is a website /book called Automate the Boring Stuff. It's been written for newbie programmers. So not even just like new to Python, it's new to everyone. And I just sent you what we're working on, which is chapter 1, but there is an intro chapter that helps you download everything. I don't think it showed setting up VS Python and VS Code.
No.
I think we had to figure that one out, but that's in our last video. And
we just followed exactly what the VS Code instructions were. Like, we just Googled Python VS Code, and VS Code's docs were precisely correct, which is always nice.
Yes. I know Jay will be excited to hear that they were correct since he works on VS Code. Okay, I am scrolling all the way down. All this stuff, we did all of it. We are to the quiz.
And for anyone who geeks out about like learning theory, like the theory of learning and so on, spaced repetition is the way to go. And doing the quiz, the practice questions here 2 weeks later, I mean, probably a few weeks, I mean, not a few weeks, like a few days or a week would be optimal, but we don't live in the optimal world. We live in the real world, and we do this every 2 weeks. And so it's going to be 2, and that's fine. Doing it like this will help really cement that learning much better than if we had just done it at the end of the last show.
Yes. And Ace, I see you downloaded
PyCharm. Oh, I love PyCharm. PyCharm is my IDE of choice for Python.
Sweet. So Ace, ask us questions as we go along. I am going to see which of the following are operators and which are values. Eh. Well, so I'm pretty sure hello, negative. Wait, are values only numbers? I'm cheating. I'm going back up. I don't remember.
The teacher in me is like, wait. Don't do it yet.
Okay. This is why I appreciate
Trust
that she's a
yourself.
teacher.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So I forgot. I guess I never introduced myself on this stream. Hi, I'm Laura. I'm a technical writer at Suborbital Software Systems. Until December, though, I mean, like it's less than a year ago, I was still a math professor. And I thought I was going to be a data scientist after that. So I was learning Python and so on. And then I ended up deciding to go into DevRel instead. But I still love me the Python. It's still my favorite language to code in. And so here we are. And so the teacher in me says, students don't trust themselves. And so the moment that when we're in student mode, and this is true for me too, the moment that we're like, I don't know, is that correct? Our instinct is to go find out, like ask someone who knows, you know what I mean? But also in terms of like the theory of learning, the struggle to like make the connections, those are the connections, right? That's what we're here for. And so if the way that we make the connection is by going back and like looking at what's just like casting our eyes upon the answer rather than figuring out what would make sense here, we are depriving ourselves of the learning that we think that we're here to do. And we're also not trusting ourselves because usually students know a lot more than they think they do. Off soapbox.
I want to add to your soapbox. Yere said, "Hi, Laura. Glad to see a teacher in DevRel and here sharing knowledge about learning theory too." Yes, I agree with all of that, and this is where I personally just want to add in. How to say this? I have a love-hate relationship with people like Laura. We'll say it that way.
That's fine.
In the fact that I get really frustrated and I'm like, I want to do it the easy way. Yet when I have people around that are like, nope, we're just going to do it. And even when they suggest I do it, not necessarily like they're telling me or anything like that, I'm like, okay, cool. I'll do it this way. And also, as to the part about the trusting thing, I personally, personal opinion over here, think a lot of it has to do with school in the fact that if we failed a test, it wasn't a learning opportunity, it was an opportunity to be punished and
It was a learning
reprimanded.
opportunity in my class, just for the record.
Yes.
But anyway.
So I appreciate the call out and I completely agree. So, and I know for you, it is a learning opportunity, not a moment for punishment. And if y'all make fun of me for these, I'll just boot you off our stream.
Yep.
No, well, I mean, most people don't really make fun of each other here, and I really appreciate that. It's a really safe space to learn, but all right. Well, if I remember, the following are which of the following are operators and which of the following are values? I would say operators are the multiplication symbol, the star, the subtraction, the divide, and the plus. And the rest are
Why do you
values.
think that?
Because they're in the order of operations.
Yeah.
Not the
Okay,
proper
sure.
order of operations.
No.
but
I
they're
know what
like,
you mean. Yeah, not in the order of operations, but they're in the like capital O order of operations.
yes.
Yeah, right. Okay, so that's completely true. They could have been different operators that weren't in the capital O order of operations. But when we think about the word operator, like it means a thing, right? Operators, they operate on something, right? They do something to a value. So when you're multiplying two numbers, you're doing something to them. If you are printing a string, you are doing something to that string, right? If you are subtracting, if you're dividing, if you're adding, you're doing something. You're operating upon. Operators operate upon. So it's not just because these happen to be the symbols that we use for mathematical operations. I mean, some of the symbols that we use for mathematical operations, but also because they actually operate upon. And the others have to be values because they can't, like hello, the string hello, can that operate upon anything?
No, but I was going to say, can it be a value since it's not a number?
So the wording of this question, I think, is strategic and brilliant because it prompts the reader to ask exactly the question that you just did. Can a string be a value? Because, like, in colloquial English, we think of values as numbers. Although we also think of values as like things that are important, right? In
Yep.
English, we use values in value in
Mission
multiple
statement,
ways.
values, personal
Absolutely.
mission. Yeah, all that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep. It's something that is sort of, yeah, sort of considered important or whatever. But yeah, so here they say, he says, Al Swigert, who wrote this and is brilliant, says, which of the following are operators and which are values? So there are only two possibilities for each one of these things. It's either an operator or it's a value. And so we feel pretty intuitively confident that the two numbers, those are definitely values. And then we ask ourselves, exactly like you did, but hello, is that a value? Well, is it closer to being a value or is it closer to being an operator, since it has to be one of those?
I still say value because it's not going to operate on something. It's not a
Exactly.
doctor.
Exactly. It can't do something to something else. And so then that's why this is such a great question, because it sort of prompts us to think about what is a value in like a computational sense, because to the computer, in fact, the string hello is a number, right? Because everything to the computer is all zeros and ones.
Yeah. That's going to hurt my head too much. But real quick, Ben said more examples of programmatic operators
Programmatic.
that programmatic. See, this is why I hate reading out loud. Not you correcting me. This is totally fine. But I'm like, I hate reading out loud in general. So this is such a great opportunity to do it. Ramon has always pushed me to read the comments out loud. And I'm like, oh, I
Yes.
want to. Uh, Programmatic operators that aren't in the order of operations, percentage, get the remainder from a division, plus plus, add one to the variable and save the new value to the variable less than.
Mm-hmm.
And this is when we were talking about Legos, right?
Yeah, that's the one.
This is Ben, so that way you know how I learned this and the way Laura taught
Mm-hmm.
me, and I really want Legos now. Is if we have, let's say, 20 Legos, and we're doing the remainder from a division, it would be like, how many times can 8 go into 20 Legos?
How many
And
groups of
it's
8?
how many
Mm-hmm.
groups of 8 can go into Legos, and only 2 groups can go into 20 Legos, and then there would be 4 Legos left. Or for the plus plus, is when only 2 variable or only 2 groups of 8 could fit in 20 Legos.
That's actually not the plus plus. That
Okay.
is integer division. It's also called the floor. But that's the one where that's like it's slash slash. It's like division sign, division sign.
Oh, okay.
The plus plus, just like Ben said, is add one to the variable and save the new value to the variable. So if you had like x equals 5 and then you said x plus plus, that means add 1 to whatever value is stored in x. And so if 5 is the value that's originally stored in x, then x plus plus would add 1 to 5, which is 6, and it would save that to x. So now x equals 6. That's the plus plus.
Okay. And what up, Ramon?
Hey,
And
Ramon.
thank you, homie. I appreciate it. And something that I just realized is we are up to 70 followers and 15 subscribers.
Congratulations.
Crazy dance. So, and starting in next-ish month, I'm hoping to also be creating more smaller videos by myself, doing some of these and a quicker recap of all of these videos because not everybody wants to watch the full live stream. Okay.
And that's spaced repetition, right? So
That is.
we're going to feed two birds with one scone, right?
Yes. Oh, I like that.
It's not mine. I got it from someone on Twitter, and it's the bestest.
Feed two birds with
Two
one
birds
scone.
with one scone. Mm-hmm.
I like this. I like this.
Because
Okay.
I am completely comfortable being a snowflake who doesn't want to say killing the birds with the stones. I want to feed the birds with the scones.
I mean, I really like seagulls. Plus, they go mine, mine, mine.
Oh,
mine.
I actually hate birds, but I still don't want to stone them.
Oh, okay. No birds for you. All right. Which of the following is a variable and which is a string? This one is easy. A string has the quote marks.
True.
Yes. Name 3 data types.
Resist the urge to scroll.
I was just putting it at the top of the page.
No, I know.
Data types.
Mm-hmm.
Integers. I don't remember what whole numbers are. And
whole numbers are integers. Well, I mean, so in terms of Python, like Python doesn't in mathematics, we distinguish between whole numbers and integers, where whole numbers don't have negatives and integers do and also have 0. In programming, we don't distinguish between whole numbers and integers particularly. I mean, there's like signed and unsigned, I suppose, but they're just integers, especially in Python. They are just integers.
I just remember integers. That is the only one. Like, I know others exist, but
somewhere. It's going to be in there somewhere. Okay. So what comes in the number 5.3? Right? What's the word that I said after 5?
0.3.
Point. There's a data type that has the word point in the name, and it means that point.
Pointager?
That should totally be it, right? That should totally be it. But what it refers to the fact that it can move. It can sort of float.
Point arena?
Floating point. Floating point.
Floating point. I mean, that would make more sense. That would make more sense. But
floating points. And in Python, as in many other languages, they're referred to as floats. So they're like ints for integers and float for floating point. And there's also, what did you call the spam with the quotes marks?
Oh, strings. That's considered a data type? Huh. Okay. Ugh. All right. What? Oh, wait. I scrolled. I remember.
Oops. Sorry. I didn't mean to click on that, Ramon. Sorry about that. But I am so glad that you're good, Ramon. And I am good too.
We are, Ramon, we copied you and we're both streaming to both of our Twitches. Twitch eye. All right. What is an expression made of and what do all expressions do? I feel like we're going to be spending the entire time doing this quiz. What is an expression made of? A smiley face, a sad face, a frowny face, maybe a grin.
So this is as opposed to an equation. What do we have to have in order to have an equation?
Orders of operations?
Nope. It's actually in the word. Almost all of this is in the word equation.
Equals.
Equals. We have to have an equals. In this case, that's sort of like an assignment, or we're saying like something equals something, or it gets a particular value. That's an equation, or in programming, either an assignment or an assessment, I suppose. But if we don't have that, it's an expression, just like in math, actually. X plus 5 is an expression because it has no equal sign. X equals 5 is an equation. And that's all there is.
What do they do? I don't get that part.
What do they do? So in programming, if you use an equal sign, you can give a variable a value. Like in number 6, actually. So bacon equals 20. We're saying that we're giving the variable bacon the value of 20.
Okay.
If we said like bacon plus 20, we didn't give it a value. We didn't assign it anything. And it can't return anything either. Like it can't say like, it's not like an equals where that's like, does something equal something? We'll get to that further on. But anyway, an expression is a string, like a bunch of code that doesn't have an equal sign, more or less. It could also be a function,
Okay.
but for the moment, we're just going to say it doesn't have an equal sign.
I'm going to continue past that one, even though it still hurts
absolutely.
my head. This chapter introduced assignment statements like spam equals 10. What is the difference between an expression and a statement? And an expression, I think this goes to me not understanding number 4 too, but a statement is like what it said, spam equals 10, but an expression would be like 5 plus 5 equals 10.
But it has, well, I mean, so sort of like that would still be a statement because it can still be either true or false, or like it equals something or it doesn't equal something, because it has that equal sign in it. We're going to play with more of these. Let's keep going through the quiz, and we're going to do lots of these things, and then it'll like start making more sense. But these questions are good for just sort of like keeping little like squirrels in the back of your mind to go like, hey, wait, was that a statement or was that an expression?
Yeah. What does the variable bacon contain after it following code runs? Bacon is 21 or 20, because I feel like it wouldn't run this. Oh no, it's 21, because if bacon equals 20, bacon plus 1 would equal 21.
Your second intuition was correct.
Yay.
That because the first one says, it says bacon equals 20. So we are assigning bacon the value of 20. And then what we said was bacon plus 1. But it's like in the same sense as like in English, bacon equals 20 is a complete sentence. But bacon plus 1 is not. There's no conclusion. Like if somebody said to you bacon plus 1 or something like that, like bacon and lettuce, you'd be like, bacon and lettuce.
Potatoes.
What? Right. Like what's going to come next? Nothing changed about the bacon.
All right. And what should the following 2 expressions evaluate to? Spam plus spam spam, and spam times 3. So the first one, wouldn't it be spam, spam, spam? And then
yep.
But the bottom one would be, wouldn't it be the same thing?
It would. Yes.
Okay. All right. Why is a valid variable name while 100 is invalid? Because it doesn't say what 100 is assigned to or doing.
So the word variable contains or almost contains the word vary, right? It means that it can change. Can 100 change?
No.
Nope, not a variable.
Oh.
And so what that means is that we can't use 100 as a variable, because it's like the computer would be like, no, you can't do that, because 100 has to mean 100. You can't decide that 100 means something else, or else
Yeah.
everything will be fucked forever.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense.
Mhm.
All right. And then let's see. What three functions can be used to get the integer, floating point, or string version of a value?
I'm going to ask this question in a different way.
Okay.
If I gave you the number 5, for some reason on this stream, my favorite number is 5. I don't know why, because it's not like in other
I
contexts,
dig
but
it.
in this
I
stream,
dig it.
it's 5. So if I give you the number 5, what data type is the number 5 of those
An
three?
int-
Integer. Mhm.
an integer?
It's an integer, right? What if I gave you the number 5, but you needed it to be a floating point number, which means you needed it to be 5.0?
Okay.
Then you could use a function, and they all work the same way. So I'm going to tell you how the first one works, and then you can extrapolate from that what you would do for the second two. Okay, so I'm going to say if we have the number 5 and we want to make it a floating point number, then what we would type is float and then in parentheses 5. And so the float with the parentheses, that means this is a function that takes inputs and turns them into floating point numbers. So if I give it the number 5, it would say, okay, well, that's an integer, but the decimal version of that integer, the floating point version of that integer, is 5.0. So here you go. Here's 5.0.
So it would just be like integer equals the number, or
It would be more like if you wanted it, like if you want like to stick with these variables, like if you said spam equals 5, but then what you wanted was the floating point version of it, then you could say spam equals float with 5 in parentheses. And then if you printed the
oh,
value of spam, it would be 5.0 instead of the integer 5.
but if I did like spam equals 5, that's the integer 5. But if I wanted spam equals, or 5 equals string of spam, can you even do that?
So you can't, but strictly because of the question that came before this, where 5 can't be a variable. We can't say
Right.
5 equals something that's not 5.
So spam equals 5, or like a string of print spam plus 5 in a string will show the print of that string.
Spam plus 5 equals string. Yeah, so that would be, you'd have to use a different function, not the float function, because float takes integers and turns them into floating point numbers. So what you were just saying is you want something that takes integers and turns them into strings.
Yeah.
And so that one is a different one. And that's string, except that it's abbreviated to str. And we're going to use these, and then it'll feel much more intuitive as we're using them. This in programming, this is called casting, and I like it because it evokes like casting, a spell or whatever, like you turn a prince into a frog, right? So you cast an integer as a floating point number, and so you wave your wand and you say abracadabra, you are
Got it.
now a floating point number.
Got it. Okay. Last, why does this expression cause an error? How can you fix it? String plus 99 plus string. I mean, couldn't we fix it by adding variables above it of I have eaten equals 2 and burritos equals 3. So when adding this together, it would make 104.
So I love that. So you solved a problem that was a different one than Al had in mind, but is a totally valid solution to the problem that you were interpreting this as. So what you were saying was, I can't, like, this is going to cause an error. Why? So what you said was you were going to set variables for like the string I have eaten equals, what was it, 2?
Yeah.
Okay. And then the string burritos was 3?
Yeah.
Why does that solve the problem?
Because then they have the number assigned to them. So it's mixing, it doesn't mix integers and strings.
Data types. Yeah.
Data types.
There we go. Okay. What's another way that we could solve it so that we would still end up with a string?
Something about the F strings that I was learning about that we technically haven't learned about yet in this.
No, actually, you would still have to do something else inside the F string that would work here as well without an F string. We don't need an F string to solve it. So what you were saying was the problem is that I have eaten is a string, 99 is an integer, and burritos is a string. So thinking maybe back to question number 9, what can we do to the number 99, the integer? What can we do to make it a string?
Just put quotes around it?
Yes, but what is another way that we can do it, thinking about question number 9?
Put str in front of it?
Cast it, you know. You are now a string.
All right.
Right?
We're that just gave me a headache.
No,
it's just like I'm glad I'm doing it. It's just like difficult to do. I probably would have given up like 20 minutes ago. So I'm glad I'm doing this live with you because then I can't. And I like that homie said, go team, even learning extra.
Absolutely. Yep.
Okay, yeah. I'm skipping extra credit. I'm not an extra credit kind of person. I think that's a good idea.
Hey, Bakari.
What up, Bakari? And what up? I have eaten plus string plus burritos. See, that makes sense.
That's exactly what you said.
Yeah, they typed it the same time I said it.
Yep.
And hello.
Hi.
Is it, what would we say, Elfend or Eve or Ifend? I don't know how to say their name.
I hate fonts that don't distinguish between a capital I and an L.
Right?
Which
I'm always like, I don't know. I don't know if it is. But thank you. I appreciate the help on it. All right. So we are now going to if. Okay. Is it Ifender? If I don't know how to say your name properly. I will get stuck on this. So I'm going to keep scrolling because I will try to do this way too long. All right. So we are talking about flow control now. And I know for myself, just for everybody as a heads up, I can only go until 10 after the hour. So we're just going to see how far we can get in 30 minutes. And you're not irrelevant, FYI. You are
absolutely not
a beautiful human that's showing up to hang out with us. I just know that I'll get stuck on trying to say names. So that's the only reason, but you are not irrelevant. All right. So I
think the last sentence of the first paragraph is most of what we need to know here.
Flow control statements can decide which Python instructions to execute under which conditions.
And it works exactly like a flowchart, which
All
is what
right.
we have here.
And this made sense. So when I was like, as a heads up, y'all, something that I've learned to do is work on, I learn best by listening as audio instead of reading it. As you can see, I'm not great at reading out loud either. And so I listened to the audio version of this before we get started. And one thing I've noticed is this really made a lot of sense. But then further on in the chapter, it goes to the text version, and I'm like, it's not visual. I don't get it as
We
much.
can make it visual, though. We can draw it
Yay.
out. We can totally do that.
Okay. So, but before you learn about flow control statements, you first need to learn how to represent those yes and no options. And you need to understand how to write those branching points as Python code. To that end, let's explore Boolean
Boolean.
values, comparison, operators, and Boolean operators.
Named for a mathematician named, I think it was George Boole.
Yep.
Boole.
Right
Oh,
here.
huh.
We got George right here. All
Yep.
right.
Hi, George. Yeah. And literally, all that means is true or false. Like, that's all that we need to take away from that. Booleans are ultimately things that are either going to be true or false.
Okay. Okay, this is actually, I just want to point out, and this is something that I really, really appreciate with learning with you, Laura, is the fact that I do get really frustrated in this because, especially during the times where it does not click very easily, because that's how a lot of things just kind of work for me and it's very convenient. Yet, struggling through this kind of stuff is I get really frustrated because it doesn't click. And I appreciate the fact that you help me either go, okay, cool, we'll get back to it because something in the future we'll go through it, or no, we're going to sit here and duke it out with the book. So it does make sense when you say that it equals true or false. That's kind of what I was getting when I listened to it earlier. So spam equals true. So if we just type spam, it equals true. A traceback, which
so this is because of the in number 2 and like one line above where it says if we just type true, then it says the name true is not defined. That's not about, it's not like run together from the first one, just for clarification.
Yeah. Okay. And true can't equal 2 plus 2 because that's not a complete
That makes no
thing.
damn sense.
Yeah. Okay. Like, but could you do true equals 4? No, because it's okay.
Right, because then it would be like truth is equivalent to the number 4, which would be odd. Not in the mathematical sense of odd. That would be weird.
Anyway, that would be even, but okay, like any other value, Boolean values are used in expressions and can be stored in variables. 1, if you don't use a proper case. 2, or you try to use true and false for variable names. 3, Python will give you an error message. And then we got comparison operators, also called relational operators, compare 2 values and evaluate down to a single Boolean value. Okay, I feel like these are pretty common, luckily.
Yep. That double equals, I think that's just about universal. So that means is equal to or is like equivalent to. The exclamation point equals, that isn't universal to all programming languages. Some programming languages do it with like equals and then slash equals to mean not equal to. I like this. I mean, it's fewer characters, and also because I like calling it bang.
I just want
Slam the
to
door.
double check. Ace, if you're still here, let us know if you have questions so far as we're going through this.
Absolutely.
I know that you're just getting started with Python, but I do
Mhm.
want to suggest that you can go through and ask us questions at any point. And that goes for everyone. So not just Ace. Ace was just the one that mentioned that they were a bit newer. All right. So this makes sense. So it
Yep.
says 42 is equal to 42. True. 42 is equal to 99. False. 2 is not 3 equal to 3. Correct. 2 is not equal to 2. False. It's not. Because
Correct.
that equation doesn't compute because they are equal. There we go.
Inequality. It's not an
Inequality.
equation because then it would be true. Equations have to be true.
Got it.
Otherwise, they're inequalities.
Okay. Okay.
You're either equal or you're not equal.
All right. Well,
Mhm.
we will try
Statement,
to.
if we want to use like a single word that isn't inequality, we can say statement. The statement 2 is not equal to 2 is false.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So the statement. Got
Mhm.
it. Okay. So the statement. And then we got, you might expect equal is equal to evaluates to true when the values of both sides are the same, and not equal to evaluates to true when two values are different. The equal and not equal to operators can actually work with values of any data type.
Mhm.
All right. And these are all making sense because the second one is false because one letter is capitalized. Um, oh, it did catch that 42 and the integer of 42 are the same.
Right.
Or
The
the
integer
floating
42 and the
number. Yeah, the
floating point.
integer and the floating point are the
Mhm.
same. And these are not the same. 42 equals quote 42 because it's in a quote. So it would technically create it. It would mean it's a string.
That's right.
Oh, groovy. All right. Uh, which this just said all the same stuff we said.
Mhm.
And then this is where I get mixed up is greater than or less than floating points. So,
So, the big end of the thing
mhm,
points toward the bigger number.
okay.
So if we're looking at like 42 and 100, like just to remember like which direction do these things need to face,
Yeah.
the little end is pointing toward the 42 and the big end is pointing to the 100.
Okay. So that's why when the shark is eating the smaller number, it's false. Maybe
Sure.
go into that will help.
Mhm.
Um, okay. A count equals 42. And then I'm confused why the second line is a count is less than or equal to 42.
So
Oh,
the
it's just
words,
saying those two ones because it's less than or equal to.
it's the or equal to. Yep.
Okay. And then my age is 29. My age is greater than or equal to 10. True.
Yep.
Boy. Okay. The difference between the equal and equal operators. You might have noticed that the equal operator equal to has two equal signs while the equal operator assignment has just one equal sign. It's easy to confuse these two operators with each other. Just remember these points. The equal operator equal to asks whether two values are the same as each other. The equal operator assignment puts the value on the right into the variable on the left. To remember which is which, notice that the equal operator equal to consists of two characters, just like the exclamation point equals operator not equal to consists of 2 characters.
Right. So one of them is like equals,
Mm-hmm.
1 equal sign, or
Mm-hmm.
equal to, 2 words, 2 equal sign.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
Makes enough sense. All right. I'm going to go to Boolean operators. The 3 Boolean operators, and, or, and not, are used to compare Boolean values. Like comparison operators, they evaluate these expressions down to a Boolean value. Binary Boolean operators.
And we remember binary, it's just meaning 2, means there are 2 things. So we're just comparing these 2 things.
Okay. The and or operators always take 2 Boolean values or expressions, so they are considered binary operators. That's how we got 2.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And the and operator evaluates an expression to true if both Boolean values are true. Otherwise, it evaluates to false. Enter some expressions using and into the interactive shell to see an action.
Let's scroll down a bit because I feel like these aren't necessarily the most informative. Let's just get a sense for all these operators. There we go. So here we are. So we're mixing the Boolean and comparison operators, which is the thing that we could do, you know. So we have
Yeah.
4 is less than 5 and 5 is less than 6. So and works exactly like we want it to do. If you say like Laura is a technical writer and Laura knows Python, like that's only a true statement if both Laura is a technical writer and Laura knows Python are true. The or.
Can you use Boolean operators for strings as well as numbers?
Not without bringing in some functions, maybe. Because like it wouldn't, like if you said Laura and Jenn, there's sort of no way to assess whether that's true or false.
Mm.
Right? If you said Laura and Jenn have met in real life, then that's something that you can assess. But the and in that sentence is not I mean, yeah. I'm not saying that super well, but like you'd have to bring in something else. You have to add something to it.
Okay. And on that point,
so or is at least one of them has to be true.
Yeah. So, and it's saying that the 2 is equal to 2.
Right. At least
that's
one
why
of them
that
has to
one's
be true.
okay. And
They can
then
both be true. That's okay.
okay.
But it has to be at least one of them. There is something else called an exclusive or, which means either this or that, but not both.
Okay.
But we're not worrying about that at the moment.
Okay. Ugh. I feel like this is like the what I've always hated about trying to figure out Excel. Just in case anybody was curious,
Absolutely.
this is what I did not like about Excel. But it makes sense, but then it doesn't make enough sense. But this is teaching me. This is teaching me the ways.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So if 4 is less than 5 and 5 is less than 6, then it's true.
Yeah. Both of those are true statements. 4 is less than 5 and also 5 is less than 6. So that's true.
So we wouldn't, I guess, like I get that this is an image to like describe it, but I feel like this true and 5 is less than 6 makes it very confusing. Like, why did that one drop down, but the first one didn't drop down? So if I just like skip this line, it's true
Sure.
and true.
Yep.
Okay. which makes it
It's
all true.
because that's the so what he says is you can think of the computer's evaluation process. It's literally because the one that the computer is going to consider first is the one that is written first on the left. 4 is less than 5. So it's going to consider, is
Okay.
this true? Because if it's not, we can stop here. We don't even
Got
need to
it.
consider the second one if the first one is false. We
Got
would
it.
if it were an or, because or is at least one, but and is both. So if the first one is false, we don't even care whether the second one is true or false.
Got it. And I'm gonna paste this in here. This is the link we're using for anybody that wants to follow along. I know we're going through a lot of theory before doing it on coding. And yes, I agree. It's important to
Mhm.
understand how the computer will interpret the code.
Yep.
Um, it's definitely something that I think, yeah, you're all
Mhm.
right. It's just not the way my brain like read it very easily.
Right.
So,
Yeah, it's
like,
because we're not reading all of the words that Al wrote.
yeah,
Because if we had read the words that Al wrote, then we would be seeing you can
yeah,
think of
that's
the
true.
computer's
That is very
evaluation
true. That
process.
is very true.
This is
And
not
I
Al's fault.
no, not at all. And I do want to say that I appreciate the way we're going through this because me trying to read from a textbook is I find it very, very difficult. Like even
Sure.
when I had like if I listen to this beforehand, it's a lot easier to comprehend, even if I don't
Mhm.
comprehend it all then.
Mhm.
So I totally get that. Um, you can also use multiple bool- now I forgot how to say it.
Boolean. Mhm.
Boolean operators in an expression along with comparison operators. So,
Let's skip this part.
okay. Sounds good to me. I dig it.
Yep.
But I mean, I do think this makes sense. Just as apparently I don't want to skip it. I really want to just say it does
Okay,
make
let's do
sense
it.
in the fact that in my mind you would have to do like the first group of numbers, the second group of numbers, the third group of numbers, and do they equal this? Does the first group not equal the second group? And does it equal the third group?
Um, so yes, but not strictly in the way that I'm hearing the words,
Okay.
because it's not that we're asking if 2 plus 2 is equal to 4, if that is equal to the second group, or if
Oh.
that is equal to the third group. I mean, we sort of are in the sense that 2 plus 2 is equal to 4. That evaluates to the value true.
Hmm.
And because it's asking and not the second group, which is false, so true and false and true. And so it's just that's sort of why. It's not that we're asking so much if the first group is equal to the third group or the second group, so much as we're just trying to string together, is the first statement true, the second statement false, and the third statement true.
Got it. Okay. Okay.
And if that's the case, then this whole thing is true. Yeah.
I will say, and I noticed we only have like 10 minutes left. I feel like would this be a good breaking point? The elements of flow control? Just trying to
Mm, I think we can do the if and the else, but I want to start with that flow chart
okay.
and go backwards, or maybe
Let
even
me
not go backwards.
let me go to the scrolls.
Yeah. So this flow
Um,
chart says, so it the if statements clause. So if we just read this without any other context, we who have learned how to read flowcharts, we go to start. And then what would be the next word that you would say?
yeah, after start, go
Mm,
to does
okay.
name
It,
equal
mhm.
Alice?
Yeah. So if name is equal to Alice,
If name is equal to Alice. Okay.
yep. then
print hi Alice. If
mhm.
if not, print or false. Don't do any. Just
Yeah.
close.
And so in code, if not is else. So if name is equal to Alice, if that is true, then we're going to print hi Alice. Else, stop here.
Okay.
And those are if else statements. And
Okay.
that's where a lot of the flow control is going to happen. If
Okay.
this, then that, else, other thing.
Okay. And that makes sense.
Yep. So let's keep going. So we just basically covered the if and the else. So we're gonna just live on the
Else
edge.
statements. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So else print hello stranger.
Mm-hmm.
I like it.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So that's where they put if name is equal to Alice is true, print hi Alice. If false or else,
Mm-hmm.
print hello stranger.
Mm-hmm.
And then
And
end
in
after both of
right.
those.
Exactly.
Okay. Elif statements.
Else if, which is abbreviated elif
Elif.
or elif or whatever.
Elif.
But
All
we
right.
read it out loud as else if.
Else if. That's like
Mm-hmm.
OSS. It's like if you say it, you say open source. But if you type it, it's OSS, which
Mm-hmm.
is open source software.
Yeah.
Why? Why?
Yeah.
I don't know. Whoever comes up with naming conventions, like please explain to me. Okay, so else if statements. While only one of the if or else clauses will execute, you may have a case where you want to have one of many possible clauses to execute.
let's see it in the code
In
or
the
in the flow
chart?
chart, even better. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Like I
So
get what this is doing. The reason I'm a bit like confused, if name is Alice or equal to Alice
mm-hmm.
is true, print hi Alice. If false, if age is less than 12, true, print you are not Alice, kiddo. And I
Mm-hmm.
guess I'm a bit confused because those two like don't even go together.
Okay, so let's change it in our minds. So if name is equal to Alice is true, print hi Alice.
Yeah.
Else if, in fact, I bet there's going to be a different else if we scroll down where it's like, nope. um,
Granny. Okay. Like it does make sense in the
yeah.
fact that like it's doing like having it go through
Mm-hmm.
and this is something that I was kind of talking about with Excel. It's like it's doing an else if. Like it just decided to put numbers with the name Alice, which that's fine. It's just kind of so you can keep doing else ifs
Yeah. And so what
forever.
this is saying is in the first one, if name is Alice, then we print hi Alice. But then we're considering some possible ways that someone could be not Alice. So if the age is less than 12, then that person is not Alice and they are a kiddo, right?
Yes.
If the age
There
is
we go.
greater than 2000, then they're not Alice and they are an undead immortal vampire.
I dig it.
If they are not Alice and their age is greater than 100, then you are not Alice, Granny. It is probably a granny instead of a grandpa because women live longer than men. But what we notice, what's important here is this flow chart, right? So
Right.
it's important that we asked about the age being greater than 2000 before we asked about the age being greater than 100. Because if the age is greater than 2000, it's definitely greater than 100, right?
Okay.
And but if the age is greater than 100, it's not necessarily greater than 2000. If we had reversed the flow of these, if we had said, if age is greater than 100, print you are not Alice Granny, and then put the if age is greater than 2000, print unlike you, Alice is not an undead immortal vampire, then we would be printing both of those things if someone were 3000 years old.
Oh.
Right? We'd print both. And so we have to think about the order in which these questions need to be asked. Because if somebody were 3000, then they would fall into that if age is greater than 2000 group. And then we would print the thing for the age greater than 2000, and then we would proceed directly to end. But if somebody were 500 years old, it would say, if is age greater than 2000? No. Else, if age is 500, is that greater than 100? Yes, so then you are not Alice Granny. But if we had reversed those, then someone who was 500, it would ask first about the 500, the 100, and then the 2000. But if somebody were 3000, it would print both.
Got it. Got it. And that does make sense. Couple comments from our beautiful humans. Maybe if you think of it as a maze and you're trying to get to the end, each evaluation tells you which way to turn on your way to the end.
Yeah.
Agreed.
It's kind of a choose your own adventure.
Yes. And I also agree. We'll be doing typing the codes next week or next time, which is in 2 Mondays, because I got to end in like 3 minutes. Normally we do, this has been a lot of theory, which we normally aren't as theory heavy. Normally it's like a side by side. If you catch the other ones we've done, and I believe I have that playlist right here. So let me, what did I do with my Twitch? So many options. There are so many options. Laura comes on the show. It is Python with Laura, and she comes every 2 weeks, and we go through the beginning stages of bare basics of Python. So I would definitely check those out and also put that on your calendar if you're liking the Python side of things. The rest of the time, I'm learning a bunch of theory and JavaScript. So, although I do think I have a Kubernetes coming on soon, and
I'm working on
Kafka.
learning Kubernetes.
Yeah, I think I also have a Kafka. I'm trying to think who else. I might have some. I'm debating. I have a guest that's coming on Friday, and they're like, "Hey, we'll go through whatever you want." And I'm like, he told me he knows Go. And I'm like, I don't even know what Go is or does. So I'm kind of debating just being able to see a little bit about that.
I started learning Go a couple months ago.
Yay. Let's go.
Yes.
So yes, very cheesy. I know. And for all of those joining today, thank you so much. I will be back again tomorrow, same time, 9 a.m. Pacific, 12 p.m. Eastern, and 1600 UTC, I believe. And yes, make sure to
1700, I think.
1700? Is it seven? I don't know. I need to go update that, make sure it's right. But thank you all for joining today. I will see you again tomorrow. And make sure to follow Laura on Twitter and Twitch, and be back soon. Bye.
Bye.